Marcus Chen adjusted the worn leather straps of his grandfather's military backpack as he entered the Galactic Survival Academy's pristine corridors. The aged canvas and metal buckles looked primitive against the sleek walls, lined with holographic displays showing the Academy's prestigious alumni, beings from dozens of species who had gone on to become renowned explorers, military leaders, and planetary governors. His classmates barely glanced up from their state-of-the-art survival packs, each worth more credits than most families earned in a year. The Zephyrian students carried bioadaptive containers that could synthesize any required tool from raw matter. The crystalline Vorthon had quantum storage units that existed partially in subspace, capable of holding entire arsenals and devices no larger than a human fist. "Look at the human!" chittered Kextal, a mantis-like Zerathi whose four arms gestured dismissively at Marcus's backpack. "Does he think this is some primitive camping expedition?" Lyra, a blue-skinned cerulean with enhanced neural implants, laughed melodically. "My pack's AI can predict survival scenarios 3 days in advance. What can that relic do? Hold his lunch?" Marcus said nothing. He'd heard it all before during the 3 months since arriving at the Academy. Earth was still considered a backwater planet by most galactic civilizations, despite humanity's recent admission to the Galactic Council. His classmates came from worlds with technologies that seemed like magic to most humans: matter replicators, gravity manipulators, temporal shields. Yet here he was, the first human to attend the Academy in over 50 years. Professor Thane, a towering gray-skinned titan with 4 arms, entered the classroom with characteristic military precision. "Today begins your final survival examination," he announced, his deep voice resonating through the chamber. "You will be dropped on Kepler 438c, a Class M world with unpredictable weather patterns, hostile fauna, and limited resources. Survival time, 72 hours. Rescue extraction occurs at grid coordinates you must calculate using stellar navigation." The students murmured excitedly. This was what they'd trained for, the test that would determine their final rankings and career prospects. "One additional parameter," Professor Thane continued, his 4 eyes scanning the room. "All electronic devices will be rendered inoperative by the planet's unique electromagnetic field. You will have only what you carry and your training." The confident chatter died instantly. Kextal's mandibles clicked nervously as he stared at his technological marvel of a pack. Lyra's enhanced implants flickered with concern. Without her pack's AI, she'd be operating on instinct alone. Marcus felt something his classmates hadn't experienced in years: calm preparation, meeting genuine challenge. The drop shuttles deployed, them across the planet's temperate zone just as storm clouds gathered on the horizon. Within minutes of landing, the electromagnetic interference hit like a digital plague. Advanced packs shut down, their displays going dark. Emergency beacons failed, environmental suits reverted to basic life support. While his classmates frantically tried to restart their equipment, Marcus was already moving. From his grandfather's backpack, he pulled items that hadn't changed in centuries: a compass made of actual metal and magnetized steel, waterproof matches sealed in wax, a knife forged from earth steel, and rope woven from natural fibers. The first night brought freezing rain. Students with climate-controlled suits found themselves cold and miserable when their technology failed. Marcus had already constructed a lean-to using branches and his grandfather's military surplus poncho, creating a shelter that channeled water away while retaining body heat, techniques perfected in Earth's brutal conflicts generations before space travel. By the second day, hunger was setting in. Replicator-dependent students stared helplessly at native flora, afraid to risk consuming anything unknown. Marcus identified edible plants using knowledge passed down from his grandmother, a botanist who'd insisted he learn traditional fieldcraft. He trapped small creatures using snares crafted from his pack's paracord, a simple technology his classmates had never encountered. Kextal found him on the second evening, the proud Zarathi now humbled and hungry. "Human," he said, his mandibles clicking in what Marcus recognized as embarrassment. "My pack. It's completely dead. I haven't eaten since yesterday." Marcus looked up from the small fire he'd built using flint and steel, another primitive tool that worked regardless of electromagnetic interference. Without hesitation, he offered half of his meal, roasted tubers and slow-cooked meat. "Why, help me?" Kextall asked, accepting the food gratefully. "I mocked your equipment." "Because that's what humans do," Marcus replied simply. "We survive together." Word spread quickly among the struggling students. By the final day, Marcus had become the unlikely leader of their group. He taught Lyra to read weather patterns using cloud formations and wind direction. He showed the Vorthon students how to purify water using sand, charcoal, and cloth filters. His grandfather's compass guided them toward the extraction coordinates, while others remained lost. When the rescue shuttles arrived, they found something unprecedented in Academy history. The entire class had survived, gathered around a central camp that Marcus had helped establish. Students who'd arrived with the latest technology were now carrying improvised tools crafted from local materials, using techniques the primitive human had taught them. Professor Thane studied the scene with all four eyes wide. "Cadet Chen," he called out, "explain your survival strategy." Marcus shouldered his grandfather's backpack, still intact, still functional, still carrying tools that had outlasted civilizations. "Simple, sir. I brought appropriate technology. My grandfather always said the best survival tool isn't what's in your pack. It's what's in your head and your willingness to help others." The class that had laughed at his outdated equipment now watched with newfound respect as Marcus walked toward the shuttle. In his wake, students from the most advanced civilizations in the galaxy carried simple tools and hard-earned knowledge, gifts from a species they'd once considered primitive. As they flew back to the academy, Lyra sat beside Marcus. "Your backpack," she said quietly. "It's not outdated at all, is it?" Marcus smiled, thinking of his grandfather's words about humans always being underestimated in the galaxy. "Sometimes the oldest technology is the most reliable. We've been surviving a lot longer than we've been traveling between stars." The Academy's records would show that Cadet Marcus Chen achieved the highest survival rating in institutional history. But more importantly, his classmates learned something that no amount of advanced technology could teach. True survival isn't about having the best equipment. It's about adapting, persevering, and never leaving anyone behind. That was the human way, and perhaps the Academy realized it was a way worth learning.